Forest Hill fits the stereotype of a small community where the Phillips 66 attendant knows everybody in town. It's a small town where city politics can be rough and tumble, where partisan politics can beat statesmanship any day of the year. But Forest Hill's political intrigue has finally outreached the boundaries of City Hall. There's hardly a person in this community whose face doesn't flush or whose voice doesn't jump an octave when they talk about City Hall. Part of the reason is a series of allegations, apparently with some substance, about improper use of public money and possible unethical use of city officials' personal expense and travel funds. Forest Hill's political pot boiled over when a newly elected city council published the Forest Hill newsletter and continued what last spring's campaign had begun, charges that the mayor and former city manager were loose with taxpayer dollars. In the recent election, all but the mayor and the mayor pro tem lost to newcomers. Former city manager Jim Walker called it quits to become assistant city manager in nearby Bedford when the new city council was elected. But Mayor Harry Purser stayed. The council and the mayor regularly bicker with each other. That bickering prompted the new council to publish the newsletter, which charges that thousands of dollars were wasted by the old council on extravagant lunches, dinners, and trips, and that those excesses have helped to account for a $40,000 plus deficit in a city whose budget is only $1.5 million. The council appointed Councilman Robert Platt as editor of the newsletter. Platt explained why, after the election, he and other council members decided to continue their crusade against the mayor, the old council, and the former city manager.
There were many charges that had been made prior to the time of the election that we saw as being needing documentation. So we began to look into the matter of the receipts and so forth that were available in City Hall. And when we made this inquiry, we discovered that there were gross irregularities, and we were the new council. The irregularities would be taking place during the fiscal year while we were in office, and it was our feeling that we should make them known rather than to be charged with them. Well, among other things that concerned me was the fact that the petty cash slips that were on record in City Hall contained virtually no information at all in terms of what the money was spent for. For example, one petty cash slip simply stated $200 to Mayor Harry Purser for reimbursements, signed by Jim Walker.
There were indeed questionable items. Looking at the city's travel and entertainment account shows over $500 in cash withdrawn for unspecified reasons by either former city manager Jim Walker or Mayor Purser. In the first 6 months of the year, the old council spent nearly $7,000 for travel, over $3,000 for a trip to McAllen, and $1,600 for a convention in Fort Worth, which is less than 10 miles away. In late 1975, Jim Walker completed a new house in Forest Hill. A neighbor, Ward Collier, noticed city equipment on Walker's property.
On several occasions, I saw Jim Walker using the city equipment to landscape his yard, and also he was using one of the city employees. And since I didn't think that was right, because the rest of us weren't able to do this, I resented it very much, and I think that it was not right, and I sure don't like the way that he handled the situation.
Walker admits to having used city equipment, but doesn't think he was wrong in doing so. Wrong or not, some of the equipment Walker used rents for as much as $50 an hour. Walker used a city employee for the job on weekends, but not on city time. The employee said he wasn't paid for his help, that he volunteered his services at Walker's request. Some old-timers in the city's municipal labor force express some bitterness, and others express resigned acceptance to doing favors for past city administrators. But one former employee said it's a fact of life on the plantation. Councilman Robert Platt said blame for excesses shouldn't rest on just one or two individuals, but on a mood that permeates City Hall.
Well, I don't believe that former city manager Jim Walker should bear the whole brunt of this thing. The city council had been maintaining a lifestyle that was excessive and extravagant, and former manager Jim Walker would not have been able to do this without their sanction, their approval, and their participation. So what was going on was not only his doings, but the doings of the total city administration.